Today is August 10th. Welcome on into Daily Cards Live here on ClaibsOnline.com. I'm Joe Roderick. He's Bob Ramsey, and we're brought to you by Royal Banks of Missouri and Mungenast St. Louis Acura. Rammer Cardinals get one on the Rays last night. But as we kind of transition into looking at 2024, it was something we talked about prior to the game. Dakota Hudson looked good again in another start for him.
Yeah, I thought he was okay. I thought it was enough to build on. It wasn't as good as the previous outing, but
he faced a much better team than he did in the previous outing too.
Yeah, I don't think it was a disaster, and I think it's something you can still build on. I'm not, I don't feel like I'm doing the company line here to say, okay, not bad, let's keep it going.
Yeah, JoJo Romero once again comes out too. He gets four outs in the game, 3 of those strikeouts, as he just continues to be on this dominant run right now. Pitching last on August 6th, 4 strikeouts in 2 innings in that game. 2 strikeouts in an inning on August 2nd, July 30th, 2 strikeouts against the Cubs. That's kind of where it all started back on July 30th. That's a lot of strikeouts in a short amount of time for JoJo Romero.
I liked him when we first saw him in the spring, and then he blew up a little bit and kind of had to recalibrate. But to his credit, he did. And let's see where it goes. I think worst case for 2024, he's your lefty specialist in the 8th or 9th. And best case, maybe he's an absolute candidate to close. I kind of like him in that 8th inning guy to get a good left-handed lineup. But I think he's earning a spot. I don't think there's any question.
I mean, I've said my thoughts on bullpen construction many times. It's one of those, hey, when they're hot, you play them until they wear out, and you don't expect it the following year. That's kind of how I look at it. So ride it while you have it, and maybe trade them while the iron's hot in the off season.
Oh, really?
I am not a fan. I am not a guy who will invest long-term in relievers.
That's a smart play.
Yes. So that's kind of the way I look at it. I mean, I go into every April looking at it that whatever your bullpen is in April will not be anything like that come June. That's kind of how I look at it with JoJo Romero right now. And on the show that we did the other day, when Rock was in for you the other day, one of the names we brought up was TJ McFarland. If you remember him, when the Cardinals got him, I believe it was in 21. And I mean, every time he threw a pitch, he was getting a double play, whether there were runners on base or not. Somehow he was getting 2 outs every time he threw a pitch coming out of the bullpen for the Cardinals that year. And then they sign him, and then he absolutely doesn't have it the next year. I just kind of look at that. Every reliever to me is another example of TJ McFarland in my eyes.
Yeah, but you do have to have 8 guys.
Yeah.
So where you get them and who they are and how they shake out the next year, it is a crapshoot. I agree.
We will, speaking of crapshoot, Matthew Libator on the mound for the Cardinals tonight, 1-4 on the year with a 6.93 ERA, and he faces the team that drafted him, and he will be backed up like this. Lars Nootbaar is in center, Paul Goldschmidt first, Nolan Gorman at second, Nolan Arenado DHing, Tyler O'Neill in left, Alec Burleson in right, Andrew Kisner behind the plate, Taylor Motter at third, and Tommy Edman is at short. For the Rays, Yandy Diaz leads off and plays first. Wander Franco at short. Randy Arozarena in left. Harold Ramirez is DH'd. Isaac Paredes is at second. Jose Siri is in center. Curtis Mead at third. Manuel Margot is in right. And Christian Bethencourt is behind the plate. He is catching. Starting pitcher Zach Littell for the Rays, 2-2 with a 4.04 ERA. I mean, for as good as these Rays are, 22 games over 500. Man, I have not heard of a lot of their starting pitchers, but I know that once you get into that bullpen, it is really, really good.
Yeah, they have scrambled. They've had some bad luck with their starting pitching, but they always seem to figure it out and find ways to overcome issues, and it appears they're doing that same thing. We'll see how the Cardinals handle it tonight. Burleson in there against this kid. It's hard when you're planning your lineups, almost like you're planning your family's dinner menu throughout the week, and then things change. O'Neill, as of this moment, is still in the lineup. I got to be honest, I'd rather have Walker in there. Walker hit a ball, almost killed a guy, 106 miles an hour on the ground, a big hit last night. And then he's back out of the lineup today. Okay, they got their reasons. They're trying to milk something out of O'Neill and make him an asset. I get it. I'm just saying I'd rather see Walker in there.
A great story out of baseball yesterday, looking back, a no-hitter thrown. Michael Lorenzen of the Phillies, just acquired on August 1st in a trade from the Tigers, and throws a no-hitter 9 days later for the team. Does so 124 pitches, so very different than the no-no that we saw last few weeks ago from the Astros. But nonetheless, that's a trade that pays off when your guy's coming over.
Well, his first outing with them, he won 8 innings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he somehow topped it.
We saw him with Cincinnati, and I wasn't that impressed, but I was wrong. He's good. He put it together with the Tigers, had some ups and downs, but get him on a good team, and so far, so good for them.
We talk, I think one of the things, somebody like him, if you remember, when he was with the Reds, he was out of the bullpen a lot for them. And he was a guy that the Reds would call on to pinch hit too late in games. He was what we thought a two-way player was before Shohei Ohtani came along and and showed us what a real two-way player is.
Yeah.
But losing the DH, I wonder if that is something that made him focus more. I mean, just that little bit that he might have been working on in the batting cage. Now that went away from him, I wonder if that's something that maybe clicked and he was able to figure out in Detroit and now is able to do in Philadelphia.
I think that's possible, but we both know ball players. And I think the more likely scenario is I need more hitting in the cage because I can be the next Ohtani.
You know what? And I regret this. I had a chance. He was at the All-Star game and he was at a table, and anytime I wanted to go over there and talk to him. And every time that I'd go over there, there were, one or two other people there. And I just didn't, I try to stay out of people's ways in situations like that. So I never did get a chance to talk to him. And I did want to kind of talk about the whole hitting aspect of it with his career where it is now. And I didn't get a chance. Another great story, though, last night, Weston Wilson, who has spent 7 years in the minor leagues, hit a home run last night for the Phillies in that game with his family in the crowd watching it too. So always that kind of gets overshadowed by Michael Lorenzen doing what he did last night in the game. Lots of baseball's already been played today. Not really a full schedule tonight. Cardinals are only one of 4 games that are on the schedule for this evening, as another 5 have already been played today. We will be back tomorrow to talk Royals and Cardinals, a 2-game series in Kansas City, just Friday and Saturday. No baseball on Sunday for your Redbirds, but we will break down those 2 games tomorrow here on the show. Until tomorrow, we are brought to you, as always, by Munganess St. Louis Acura, Royal Banks of Missouri, and Rammer Bootlegging Tavern. Right now, 4501 Shoto is where you can find them at the end of the Grove, or you could go and follow them on any of their socials and see what they are serving up out there at Bootlegging Tavern. They bring you our lineups each and every day. Until tomorrow, he is Bob Ramsey. I'm Joe Roderick. This is Daily Cards Live right here on ClaibsOnline.com.
From our roots in St. Louis, Royal Banks of Missouri is branching out to continue serving you with our locations in St. Charles, Jerseyville, Granite City, and now in Hannibal, Center, and New London. Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank in your community.